This is Lee Company Titans Talkback. Your chance to, once again, vent 615-737-1045. If you want in, Titans fall today 23-13 to the Minnesota Vikings. Titans now 2-8. The Vikings move to 8-2. They've won 3 games in a row. Two teams headed in different directions. Brent Doherty with you. Dr. Kevin Dyson is here. Doc, what's up? How are you?
What's going on, brother?
Zach Lyons is here. Zach, what's up? How are you?
Hey, it's going pretty good.
Good.
That was good, lighthearted. Yeah, it's going pretty good.
Overall takeaway, Dr. Kevin Dyson, from today's loss to the Vikings.
Man, as our fearless producer talked about earlier, I think this was palatable. I think you lose a game that you fought. It was a different type of fight. It was competitive against a team that everybody is kind of assuming is going to be right there at the end in the NFC, at least making the playoffs. An aggressive defense. He found ways to make plays against an aggressive defense, big plays. However, as we continue week to week, there's always a but. How many penalties they end up with? 12, 13 penalties.
That is a season high.
Season high. We had touchdown reversal penalties, drive continuation penalties.
Big Jeff with a sack, a questionable call on Brownlee Jr., where Jefferson didn't even think there was a penalty. He was headed to the sideline.
Right. And then the touchdown, and I know that's the whole thing. So it's stuff like that you can put that big old but to the game. But if you're thinking the things through, like I have to a rosy-colored lens, half full cup, you saw some things up there that get you excited about the potential of the future, depending on what the moves are later. You saw the offense, what it potentially could be like. You saw a defense that made plays. You saw special teams make some plays. But you also saw, again, the dark side of things, which has been the microcosm of this season. This season has been there's few good spots, but the dark seem to overshadow those little bright spots that happen in the game.
Zach, your general takeaway as we start today's show.
I think the general takeaway is about the same. For me, it's, they didn't get their butts whipped. And it didn't feel like they got their butts whipped. It felt like they were kind of in the game all the way up until really the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, when it seemed like they were going to be a little bit out of reach. I thought Will Levis played pretty good. I thought the offensive line obviously had its struggles, but of course there are some plays that Will Levis probably, exasperated the problem as well. But I think overall, when I was kind of looking at this Vikings defense, on Friday, and I was kind of like giving out my stat prediction, Will Levis kind of hit everything that I thought he would hit for me to see that he's made progress, because he had a better game this week than last week against the better defense. Again, there is a big caveat to all this. Yeah. That does not mean anything for 2025. I just want everybody to know. But if you're talking about stacking games and for him to get more comfortable and all this kind of stuff to show progress, he almost had 300 yards passing, which is insane to me. Yeah. Because I thought he was still hovering around 240, 250. But if
he doesn't go for the home run ball at the end, he goes over 300.
Right. And there's a reason.
He takes what they give him.
And that interception is just an interception that happens on a deep ball. That's not a unforced error. So there's stuff there to build on with Will Levis, but there's nothing there that says, hey, he's our good dude for 2025 and beyond.
No, but I think you make a good point. He has stacked performances.
Right. So we talked about that last week.
Is he showing growth to you? I know he's not there right now where you're like, okay, 2025 is yours. Yeah. But is he showing growth? Yeah. Because you mentioned it. This was a very, very good defense, especially
fantastic defense.
Considering young quarterback. They lead the NFL in forced turnovers. They lead the NFL in interceptions. And Levis played a really clean game.
Yeah.
Especially when he had unblocked guys coming at him multiple times and still released the ball on time and completed it.
We talked about it last week about you just want to see him get incrementally better every week. And you saw little steps forward last week, and we said, now you just hope he can take another step or two forward and not take those 2 or 3 backwards. And so to me, that was one of those wins. Even though it was a loss, that was a win. That he seemingly taking steps forward. You don't see the bonehead plays. Now, there's a couple things, like we talked about last week, processing, that he needs to process some things a little faster, maybe see the situation, know what's in front of you. Again, I'm kind of giving him a pass on that last interception because at that point in the game, you're down 10. You gotta try to make a play for your team, and he was just trying to give his guy opportunity to make a play. But as a whole, as you evaluate him week to week, that's what you want to see, progression forward, not have these great moments and take 2 steps back, then have another great moment and take 2 steps back. And I think that's where it's somewhat encouraging to me as far as his play is concerned.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of encouragement in this game. I mean, Nick Westbrook-Kine is still making plays. Yeah. I thought that, again, I think, what the mayor just said about him being able to make throws while guys are on top of him, which are things that was a part of his game last year that we really have yet to see, even including last year's game.
Yeah.
Like, this kind of seemed like old Will Levis mixed with new Will Levis in this game. And I really think that if you take both performances in a vacuum from last week and this week and took that Will Levis and put him in the first 4 weeks, you're talking about a totally different record and totally different team.
Oh, yeah.
And from that point, you're growing off that back at week 1. The problem is that we're now in week 11. We're still talking about growing.
Yeah.
But we also do have to remember something that we've always brought up and talked about. Like, okay, it was like 13 starts, 15 starts, 16 starts. So now we're seeing him kind of catch a groove. I still don't have faith that he will put it all together to be a franchise quarterback, but maybe if he buys you a year, you can build stuff around him and maybe build a better team, and maybe things are better. Because right now, with the way this offensive line is playing and built, it's going to be really difficult for any quarterback to come in and play on this in this system. But I will say this, not only did Will Levis progress, but I really thought Brian Callahan progressed. Yeah. I mean, he was going up against a superior coordinator, and I thought the play calling was on point. I thought the scheme looked good. And that's where in a season, you're just trying to end this season with more answers than questions.
So to your point, you don't think what the way he meaning Levis, progressed to the next couple weeks, the last past couple weeks, that there's anything he can do to solidify his role as a starter for 25?
I think that there is, but not beyond 2025. So I think there is a better than average chance that he's your bridge quarterback. You just completely closed
your mind on him.
Yeah, I'm completely closed. I was close when they drafted him.
Because if he's, I know you were, but if he played like he played the last 2 weeks, get better. Now he's going to have a game.
I think I just don't have. I have to see it to believe it. So
I understand.
That's kind of where I'm at with Levis, and it's not. But at the same time, I can't let that take away from what he's done the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a better than average chance that he could be your bridge quarterback at 20. The guy that everybody wants Sam Darnold or Justin Fields to be could still be Will Levis. I just think it's after that 2025. But right now, I'm still out.
I got you.
Minnesota had forced 20 turnovers to lead the NFL coming in. That's in 9 games. And the Titans had 0 until the throwaway interception. Will Levis last week averaged a season-high 7.6 yards per attempt. Today, 9.5 against, again, the 5th-ranked defense in the NFL. And
with no run game. He had no run game.
No run game at all.
Neither team did, to be honest with you.
Pollard and Spears combined for 12 carries, 15 yards.
Yeah.
No run game.
No run game.
I knew that was what it was going to be. Yeah. It was going to be we're going to make Will Levis beat us. Because that's what this defense does, right? I mean, they're the number one run blitzing team, one of the best defenses against the run in terms of yardage, touchdowns, efficiency. Just look at the stats. I mean, they just are all in favor of Minnesota. So you knew they were going to take away Tony Pollard. You knew there were going to be 8 people up on the line, and they were going to be confusing post-snap. And I thought they had answers, and I think that there are penalties and sacks that just really derailed this entire. I think they could have won this game pretty easily.
Yeah. It's amazing what kind of a negative impact one specific position that's not a skill position can have on a team and the outcome of the game.
Absolutely.
Right tackle is a travesty. I mean, you can't even line up.
Yeah. Well,
two of the 68 lined up too far back.
Yeah.
3 times. The last 2, 73 yards come off the board and a touchdown.
And a touchdown.
Because you can't. So they knew that this was an emphasis coming into the season. Yeah. I think that from watching all of these games, we all do. We watch hundreds of games. They're kind of flippant as to when they call it. But the head of the tackle is supposed to be at the belt of the center.
And to that point, though,
that on every
you
play.
really could on every. That's why I'm surprised they call it like they did, because they look tight to me, the ones I saw. But to that point, though, the connection between Will Levis and that. Does he get the quote unquote pass based on his offensive line hasn't been solidified? Or is he still not getting the benefit of the doubt?
Think about if 68 lines up correctly, that's 73 yards. That's 350.
Yeah.
360.
And 2 touchdowns. And you're talking about
and you're in the game.
And you probably win because it's well, now it's 2023, but you don't kill the other.
Well, and then the game's all called differently on both sides of the and you have momentum
in it.
Right?
Yeah.
So I gotta look at it like this: is that I thought Will Levis was good enough to win the game today.
Absolutely.
Even with him, I think he took a couple of unnecessary sacks. I think he didn't get the ball out on the 4th down call that he should have gotten it out. At least put it in the air to try to let someone make a play is kind of my deal on that.
But when he does that and they run it back for a touchdown, then we all bitch about it.
Well, I mean,
it's true.
I guess.
Just take the sack, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't take the sack on the 4th down, and I think Brian Callahan would probably defend that, saying at least he put the ball in the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I don't know, man. On that play, they were on him quick.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying for sure. For sure.
Well, not on the 4th. That first 4th down where he took the sack, not the last one.
Oh,
the very first
yes,
one.
There were multiple.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So not the very first one,
Good point.
or not the second one. But I do think that overall, even if he was, and I think. When you go back, you'll probably see there were a couple of times where he probably could have got the ball out. He did enough to win the game.
Yeah.
And really, it comes down to penalties and really comes down to some of the stuff on defense, some of the blown plays and coverages. But really, this game comes down to the right tackle situation, really the whole right side situation, and the penalties for me.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. One line open. Your chance to react. That's coming up next. We'll go to the phones. This is Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. All you need, visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. It is Lee Company, Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Dr. Kevin Dyson, Zach Lyons. It is time for the Kroger Sacks for Cash. Today, the Titans had 2 sacks, courtesy of, Kenneth Murray Jr. had one. Arden Key had one. Big Jeff should have had one.
Yep.
Turn your mic on there, Dyson.
At least the kids can get fed this week. Unlike last
What's
week.
unfortunate about Big Jeff's is it came on 3rd down. Vikings were going to punt. Instead, penalty, questionable at best.
Yes.
Down the field on Brownlee Jr. They get the ball 1st down and go score a touchdown. So that's 7 points that are hidden sort of in the box score. For the season, Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee now stands at $2,700. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. If you're wondering about the math, we do count preseason. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to ending hunger in our communities. So, that 3rd sack would have been helpful.
I mean, there's just, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, man, these refs really just
every Saturday,
every
Sunday, man.
It's
getting worse and worse and worse.
You throwing Saturday in on it too, huh?
Oh, yeah. Just wait. I got a whole show on Monday. You think Slade's going to be involved in some of that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Man.
I look at it and I'm just thinking, man, this team really could have won that game. And that's also an added layer of all this to the testament of the job that Brian Callahan has been doing all season. It hasn't been great, but he has kept this locker room competitive and looking good and in most games. And the Minnesota Vikings are a game where I really felt they were going to be outmatched pretty thoroughly because of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores going up against a bunch of rookie coordinators, and I thought they really answered the call.
I totally agree.
Yeah, well, I think this is the example you have for how close the NFL actually is.
Yeah. Because it sucks to lose,
right.
But, I mean, you do see what you saw.
And I know we throw the term out, bad teams, but they're really not quote-unquote bad teams. There's teams that are playing bad, right? Because you got 1,500 of the best players in the world at what they do trying to gel and come together to win football games. You have some really, really good teams. You have some teams that are not playing well or not, but we like to say are not good, right? But that's when you see a 0-something team beat a 10-0 team or whatever, right? Because it's hard to be at your optimal every week, 16 weeks, health and injuries and all the mentally, some days you're just tired mentally and you try to go out there and fake it till you make it, so to speak. Sometimes it's hard to be up there for all 17 games. But this difference between the really good teams and the teams that are not very good or not playing well is so minute. That's
right.
why
Like
the NFL.
I think the first 12 penalties, 6 of them gave Minnesota first down. I mean, you can't overcome that.
2 came in that drive on 4th down where it ends up being a touchdown.
Right. The Titans are capable of playing in these games with these quote-unquote good opponents. Like Minnesota's 8-2. Right. But they played with them, right?
Go back to the Bears game. Go back to the Jets game. Go back to the Green Bay game.
But they can't overcome giving a team that's going to punt a first down where they go and score a touchdown.
Exactly.
You can't line up in illegal formation on a 51-yard touchdown pass and take 7 points off the board. The margin of error is too slim with this group.
But somebody like a Mahomes and his skill set and the way their offense is moving, they are able to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Believe that they will.
And they believe that they will. Thing. And the Titans are just not there yet, right?
Yep.
We're looking at these two of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League and Allen Mahomes. Both of them, he's like, 3rd and 23, we're going to get this.
Yeah.
Give me 2 downs, I'm getting this. That's easy money.
Well, I mean, Will Levis did make that play on 3rd down that backed up into his own end zone. And, I'll say this.
3rd and 10 on the 2.
Yeah.
How about Callahan must have been just in a screw it.
Maybe that's what he kind of needs to be a little bit more of. Is this a little bit more of screw it? I'm just going to throw it deep because
on 3rd and 10, where they're coming after your quarterback who's standing in the middle of the end zone.
Let me tell you something. last year's coaching staff would not have called that play.
No, they just took the downs and punted. And
anybody have 98-yard touchdown pass to NWI on the bingo card?
Yeah,
never.
I'll say this also. They threw up a graphic during this game that every first-year head coach this season, there's 6 of them, I think, all losing records right now. So everybody's struggling that's first year for a head coach.
Every single one of them.
But I want to shift the focus to what the Jacksonville Jaguars are having to go through. I mean, they just got whipped.
52 points today they gave up.
And they pretty much let it leak that Doug Peterson is going to get fired, right? I mean, they let it leak yesterday that pretty much Doug Peterson is, not going or is not long for the job, and his players refuse to show up. Week in and week out. That's what losing a locker room looks like. And he's an experienced head coach. And this is not the first locker room. Now I'm getting a little Doug Peterson, but this is not the first locker room that he's lost. But that also is to bring it back that's a veteran coach who won a Super Bowl, who can't manage a losing season. And over here, you have a guy that is trying to manage a losing season in his first year. And I think he's doing a good job. Whether you think that he should be fired or not, I never do. But to me, I think if he would have lost the locker room, you'd have a much easier case, and he hasn't. This team was competitive. Jacksonville Jaguars just refused to show up.
But again, that goes to that point I was making earlier. Just that alone, like those are pretty good players, right? Yeah. And like quarterback's injury and not playing well. But if you lose the locker room, and that chemistry on the field is going to be non-existent, it's hard to replicate chemistry like you see. That's why teams win those close games, and we give them like that name, the Cardiac Cats or the whatever, because they have this belief that's just not seen, the stuff you can't see, the energy that's on that team, and they're able to overcome bad circumstances like that. And that's again, Jacksonville's struggling, the Colts are struggling. Did the Colts end up winning that one?
Ooh, I don't know actually.
Actually, yeah, I think they did end up beating the Jets for like
they did 28-27, maybe the final.
Talk about another team that has lost some mojo with an experienced quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have lost a lot of their mojo. I don't think they ever had it, but like Sauce Gardner, I mean, he's checked out. Yeah. And when your star cornerback, arguably best player, is checked out, it's bad.
It's hard to win football games.
Yeah, they're 3-8. Colts won at the end, 28-27. 615-737-1045. Eric is up on Titans Talkback. Eric, what's up? How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing good, guys. Let me say this. Before I get to my thoughts on the game, guys, I got to say this. At halftime, of course, I sit 312, guys. I'm watching the Jumbotron, and they're asking a fan, who's the next player that's going to score a touchdown? I was joking around with fans. I said, well, if it was me, I'd go with other. I'd say Nick Westbrook-Akina. And, of course, he scored a touchdown. So I think at the next home game, they ought to start putting his name with the other players because he's been scoring touchdowns later. I think he should be part of that. Or at least if I'm a fan, I would say Nick Westbrook-Akina. And you'd have a good chance of winning that if you would go with that.
What is it, 5 out of the last 6 games? NWI has a touchdown?
Yeah. Guys, as far as the game today goes, I agree. The officiating was just horrendous. And, of course, Coach Mack definitely said he couldn't say what he wanted to say or he'd be off the air. It's bad. And I'm not saying we're not guilty of some of the calls. Certainly, Isaiah Prince, he got penalties, which justified, and we had 2 touchdowns called back because of penalties and everything. I thought the roughing the quarterback out of bounds on the Sam Darnold play, I thought that was questionable. But the horrendous call, I thought,
that was a bad call, Eric.
And the horse collar, too.
It wasn't questionable. It was a bad call.
Yeah. And also, the unnecessary roughness call in the end zone, I thought that was a legal hit. And they called unnecessary.
So
Eric, that was just so frustrating.
Eric, real quick, because I know you were at the game, but they went to their replay official, Gene Steratore, who said that hit in the end zone was legal. It should not have been called a penalty, and he wishes that they would have gone to review on that.
Yeah. I agree, guys. It is just
so again.
Just so frustrating to just see stuff like that just continually happen, guys. But I do have only one. I guess it's kind of like a minor complaint, and you guys may disagree with me on this. About Will Levis and Coach Callahan, and I don't know whose fault it is. I thought at times it looked like they were either close to 0 or it looked like they could have been called for delay of game because, especially late in the ball game, where you want them to hurry up and just get the play off. And there were a couple times I thought the clock was at 0, and I think we might have gotten away with the delay of game. And I just want to get your thoughts on that. I don't know whose fault that is, if that's Levis or Coach Callahan or whatever, but it still seems like at times we're letting the play clock, we're cutting it awful close with the play clock, getting down to 0. Guys, take care, tighten up, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
Can I take that one real quick?
Yeah, because I didn't notice that.
So normally, he's right. It has been a problem, has been an issue. Some of that's been play calling. Some of that's been, stuff going off and all that kind of stuff. Will Levis not getting in and out. Today, because you can hear it on Titans radio a little bit better. You can hear Will Levis making checks and making calls and changing stuff at the line, and that took him up to that, near the end of it. But that's what you want him to do, and really, this defense is going to probably take you up to that way, but the way they show you their pre-snap looks and what you're going to have to guess what they're doing.
I would argue that was by design today.
Yeah. But I mean, he was actually doing stuff. This wasn't coming out of the huddle being lackadaisical and not doing anything. He was actually doing stuff. So I will give him a pass on that this game.
Yeah,
Can't say that for every game, but this game for sure.
No, I saw him. I mean, you can see again the comfort level he has had this past 2 weeks is very evident.
It's noticeable.
Yeah, it's very noticeable. You can see it.
So you think the time on the sideline really helped him?
I really do believe so.
Yeah.
I
think it seems like it has.
To be able to process and kind of watch Mason Rudolph
slow
go
it
through
down.
and see him go and talk to him when he comes off the sideline. What you see here? I think it's whatever reason it seems to have slowed him down, and it could be a little bit of too. Callahan seems to be more comfortable in his skin too as a play caller, and maybe has a different understanding of Will Levis himself. Also, they got a better understanding of the limitations on the offensive line. I think they have made some adjustments from a protection standpoint and things of that nature, stuff that we don't necessarily know or see based on when it's one-on-one, mano-a-mano, we can see that. But the calls and the slides and how they're protecting might be a little bit different as well because, truth be told, I mean, they gave up 5 today, but some of those were on Will. Like last week, some of those, in my opinion, were on Will Levis holding on to the ball. But for the most part, they have been solid as far as just getting their butt just straight up beat. Now, I could think of probably 2 last week, maybe 1 or 2 today where you're like, oh, you just got your butt beat. But for the most part, they've been competing, right? They've gotten better on the offensive line. Now, it's not great by any means. I don't want anybody to sit there calling the show. What are you saying the offensive line got better? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they still got some
It's
gaps.
not a complete, utter disaster.
It's just,
and this could have been an easy game for it to be a complete and utter disaster.
No
and I really think
question.
the utter disaster comes on the penalties, not the pass protection.
Not the pass protection.
But those penalties are on the right tackle situation. You know what I'm saying? So,
alignment, which is a
alignment.
pre-snap thing. So, at the long and short of it all is, as a fan, you want your team to be getting better. Unfortunately, to Zach's point, we're so far into the season. It's unfortunate that this wasn't week 2, 3, 4, as opposed to now we're talking about week 10, 11, and 12.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
More of your phone calls, your reaction. Titans fall 23-13 to the Minnesota Vikings today. 615-737-1045. Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Lee Company Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Dr. Kevin Dyson, Zach Lyons with you. Titans fall 23-13 to the Minnesota Vikings. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. It is time for the Kellum Science Behind the Stat, presented by Kellum Stem Cell. From autism to arthritis, your body, your cells, your solution. Call 615-850-4415 for your consultation. Zach with the stat. Levis to NWI, 98 yards. Levis standing in the middle of his end zone on 3rd and 10 from the 2. NWI catches it, runs to the end zone for the 98-yard touchdown. Zach, you had him at 21.07 miles per hour, 3rd fastest speed so far this weekend.
And it was also tied for the longest pass play in Titans Oilers history since 1962. There was a 98-yard pass play back in the day.
Oh, wow.
So ties for the franchise record.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was standing alone.
Wait, so Will Levis has a longer touchdown pass in this franchise's history than Warren Moon?
Yeah. There you go.
In 3 Hall of Fames, Warren Moon. College football, Canadian Football League, and the NFL.
Wow.
How about that?
I think all the receivers. Not to take anything from Westbrook Okine, but, for AJ, Mace,
right,
Charlie Henning, Drew Hill.
Okay, look at it this way. Nick Westbrook-Akine has more touchdowns this season than CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Smith, D.K. Metcalf, Zay Flowers, D.J. Moore, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, Michael Pittman, Devontae Adams.
That's more Kellum science behind the stat for you there. Again, from autism to arthritis, your body, your cells, your solution. Call 615-850-4415 for your consultation. Kellum Stem Cell. 615-737-1045 if you want in. Let's go to Jared next up on Titans Talkback. Jared, what's up?
Hello, fellas. Hey, listen, okay? All the stuff you talk about Levis development, it's just not good enough. So you have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, all right? Bring the Sanders gang to Nashville. Lose out, okay? Think of the big picture. Take your Callahan and Carton glasses off and look at all that he could bring. Give him the keys. Let him develop. Let him and Shedeur be patient, work with house money for 3 years. That's what the buzzword is on patience. As a fan, I'd be a lot more believing in what Dion can do versus what these guys can do. And I know y'all disagree, but that's where I'm at.
We'll disagree
with that much worse.
We'll disagree with
that much worse.
We'll disagree with part of that.
Yeah.
In terms of firing Brian Callahan, that's just not going to happen. Not after 1 year.
And I don't know if,
thank you, Jared.
Again, say that was possible with Callahan. You would have to buy out the contract in Colorado on top of pay this man top 5, top 2 or 3 coaching pay. I don't know if ownership would be willing to do that on top of whatever staff he brings and let's go from here because they're under guaranteed contracts as well.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of Shedeur Sanders, that's my guy out of this quarterback group.
Yeah.
I'm just not there yet. I just, for me, it's too early to go there.
Yeah.
I know it's not for a lot of people, and I respect that. I get it. We're all fans and want things to happen or whatever. But for me, I'm just not there yet. But in this quarterback group, at least right now, that's where I am with Shedeur Sanders. I know you watched him on Saturday.
Don't talk about that.
Well, you guys were in it until the fourth quarter.
We were until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and then they're going to run a reverse with Travis Hunter,
and he makes a play and
try to up by multiple
and some
scores.
of those moves that Shedeur Sanders was making out, around in that pocket, escaping pressure and then running around and making the throw is just
he is so good in terms of pocket presence.
He's just so poised. He's fearless back there.
Yeah.
And this offensive line hasn't been great.
No.
I mean, this year they're better than they were last year. Last year he took a lot of shots, and he still stands and delivers.
I'll say this, for content purposes, it'd be fantastic to have Deion Sanders here. We'd never get to have a press conference because he doesn't handle criticism very well, and he likes to, excommunicate all kinds of
he's going to control the narrative.
Yeah, he's going to control the narrative. But it'd be fun.
Can you imagine PK and Coach Prime going at it?
PK made me have to go retire. But at the end of the day, I mean, first off, he's not leaving. He's been pretty adamant. And if he's leaving for the Cowboys job or the Florida State job. He ain't gonna leave for a job for Tennessee. And
I don't see the Cowboys just because of him and Jerry Jones. But
there's no way.
But for me, it's like, I don't know if Deion's ready for the pros yet. I think he will be. I just think you need some more reps, I guess I would say.
In terms of Florida State, y'all know what Mike Norvell's buyout is?
No.
Chris Lowe was on with us the other day, and he said it's close to $70 million.
Whoa.
I was going to say 30, but 70.
Oh, man, they really screwed themselves.
Gosh. But the way the transfer portal works, I mean, you could go from 12 wins to 1 and back to 12.
Yeah, man. Watch next year, you could be right there, right back in the playoff.
Yeah.
Win the ACC, and then all bets are off again. You know?
615-737-1045. Appreciate the call. Larissa, what's up?
Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
Blessings to all of you.
You as well. What's happening?
This is not a Levis issue. I'm just going to say this. I cannot even imagine the weight that is on this young man's shoulders because, you got a lot of vets. It's like, step up. You guys are making some dough. He's doing the best he can, and it seems like the team needs to kind of gel together. Something's missing.
Right. Today's not on him. I don't think the Chargers game was on him either.
No, I agree with you, Mayor. I mean, no. So when folks are calling and going, Levis, okay, not. This young man is clearly in his books and he's studying. But, you got some vets on this team that are collecting checks. Be a team. Because something is missing. And I'm going to...
Thanks for checking in, Larissa. Appreciate it.
I think right tackle's missing. I think it really does. It does.
That's where you have to start today.
Today's game, and I agree with Larissa. It is last week and this week was not a Levis issue. It's hard for me if you want to put some of the stuff from the sacks he took. It's like Levis is way down the blame chart for me.
So how do you get 3 illegal formations? How does one guy get 3 illegal formations? Fix it, dude.
And they even showed it on TV. It's like, I don't even know how the refs can really see it.
They're so flippant with the call. Watch any NFL game. They'll call it every once in a while. So, and you're like, you literally could call it on every play where the right tackle or left tackle's helmet has to be supposed. This is what they said in the offseason. And remember the first game of the year? They called it like 8 times on that Chiefs-Ravens game.
Right.
And it was always on the Chiefs. But you can literally call it on every play, but the helmet of the tackle has to be lined up with the waist of the center. And it's never that way.
And also, Brunskill's a smaller center, so maybe that
Look at the right tackle for the Buffalo Bills right now.
Right.
Exactly.
His helmet's not at the waist of the center, but the left tackle is.
And I also look at it this way. Daniel Brunskill had also a bad game today. And this is just a part of playing against Minnesota's defensive line. He was just going to be – he's a smaller, lighter offensive lineman. This is where his frame kind of gets him in a little bit in trouble. So really, for me, is like from center to right tackle was a real big issue for this team, which has been a big issue off and on in certain parts all year long. So to me, the gelling – the missing piece is really that right tackle. You really do have to have at least an average right tackle to make it in the NFL and get winning records and all this kind of stuff.
Again, 2 of the illegal formations cost the Titans 73 passing yards and a touchdown off the board. 615-737-1045. We are with you until 6:30, walking you up to Sunday Night Football. Who do we have tonight? Bengals at Chargers.
Is that what tonight's game is?
Westwood 1 coverage begins at 6:30. We've got you till then. If you want in, your reaction, Titans fall 23-13, 615-737-1045. Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Brent Doherty, the doctor, Kevin Dyson, Zach Lyons. Vikings take down the Titans 23-13. And it's kind of a weird game because, I'm not, blame game on official guy, but when you're talking about points being put on the scoreboard that shouldn't be there and points that have been taken off the scoreboard because of illegal formation, which you could literally call on every single play, it makes it tough. So it's tough to evaluate this game. And we've talked a lot about Will Levis. That's two performances that he now appears to be stacking performances. So we'll see, and everybody will have their opinion about his development. And we're going through some of that with your reaction. 615-737-1045. Adam next up on Titans Talkback. Adam, what's up?
Hey, bud. A couple things. Hey, Kevin Dyson. So I did get in a big frame poster size Kevin Dyson Music City Miracle poster this week. It's pretty sweet, and it's
cool.
got Mac in the background in black and white, like blurred out. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
25 years coming up.
And we're so far removed from that team that it's unbelievable. Like I'm trying to love this team as much as I love that team. Y'all got to understand when I say that. And Levis, if you'd asked me a month ago, I'd have told you we're 100% drafting a quarterback. I'm not sure of that today. I don't know what we're going to do. I know we have other needs. I know he's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks, so who knows. But watching that game today, dude, like I'm going to defend the 2-win team and go, that felt like pro wrestling. And I know that good teams get the calls, but my God, be more blatant. It felt like the Tyson Paul fight, dude. It felt so staged.
I mean,
like,
the one in the end zone where that Clete Blakeman is like the house ref that answers the questions from a pool reporter after the game, whatever. And he said that two officials called the same thing there. And I'm like, how can two officials call unnecessary roughness in the end zone on 4th and goal? And Gene Steratore, who is the head of officiating, who's now an official analyst with CBS or Fox, whatever, CBS, I guess, this week, said that should not have been called, and that he wishes that they could have reviewed that. The Titans would have had the ball.
You have to leave your feet, and you have to lead with the helmet, and he did neither of those things.
What's crazy, though, dude, is so you watch that play. You watch the play even when we get the touchdown taken off the board. Did you guys not have the same feeling after he threw that touchdown? Like, okay, what happened that's going to take it off?
I always wonder for like 3 seconds.
It's not going to hold up. So that's how I ended up feeling at the end of this, guys.
Appreciate you, brother. 615-737-1045.
I mean, I agree with Adam. I think there's a good chance, Levis is the guy next year. I mean, I kind of
see. I'm not even there yet, and I'm
trying to be as objective. I'm trying to be as objective as possible.
I've been consistent with let's watch and see how it all unfolds,
and that's what we talked about. Is like you got to kind of go game by game with Will Levis now.
And
but for him to put two games together where he looks comfortable, especially against a defense that hides things better than anyone in the NFL,
and the Chargers defense is no slouch,
right? And so for me, I tend to look at trends, right? And especially draft trends, movement trends, and things of that nature. Aside from there being a surefire number one and you have that pick, is there Andrew Luck, a Peyton Manning, Mahomes wasn't even a number one pick. Is there that guy in this draft? The way the NFL is with quarterbacks, there is not. Nobody, if Jayden Daniels would have been number one if they knew he was going to do this year, right? You have no idea. So you look at the trends of everything in free agency. You got Justin Fields, who somebody texted me, he said, oh, that might not be a bad idea you talking about a stopgap guy. You also got Dak Prescott out that potentially could be out there. Now, he's had the injuries of late, but production
he's got that
numbers,
contract, though. I mean, I don't know if the Cowboys
going to let him go?
No,
you don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think anybody would take it on.
No.
It's 200, what was it, 240 million?
Yeah,
it was 240?
Yeah, it was something crazy.
Oh, never mind. Leave him alone. I was thinking they're going to run him out of Dodge.
The beauty of Will Levis is that he's still in that rookie contract. So if he can get to the level where he can win you games and then maybe you make a different decision after
is
next
somebody
season.
like Fields interesting to you?
Yes. I mean, I'll be honest. I think Fields is interesting, but to your point of what you just said.
He was better this year for sure.
Yeah, to your point of what you just said, Will Levis could have won you 2 games this week. And last week, I think the defense just really they were terrible last week. This week, it felt like it was right tackle on the penalties. I mean, again, it's hard for me to put the blame on Will Levis for either of the last 2 losses. He played well enough to win you the game. So I'm kind of looking at that. And when I think that there's a good chance that he could be your stopgap guy, is the fact that Brian Callahan has showed nothing but unwavering faith that he can get Will Levis where he needs to be. And so far these last 2 weeks, you see Brian Callahan kind of not all the way being rewarded for that faith, but being rewarded in a certain level for that faith. And I think that I've always maintained Brian Callahan's a really good coach. And I think that if Will Levis continues to take these steps, or even if he just really flatlines from today's game and just gives you this Will Levis every week, because this Will Levis, like you said, penalties wiped away 73 more yards on top of that 295 and another touchdown. Just saying, this Will Levis is good enough to win you games. I think he could be the stopgap, and you can focus on other positions that can set yourself up for long-term success, like edge rusher, like a young right tackle. You know, you can set yourself up for success, even if that is maybe getting Luther Burden or McMillan or maybe even Travis Hunter, and be able to focus on building a team, not building a quarterback at this point.
And I think you have plenty of time to evaluate.
Yes.
You've got at Houston
Long
coming
way
up,
to go.
At Washington, you've got Jacksonville, Cincinnati.
You got a bunch of winnable games.
At Indy, at Jacksonville, Houston again. So, and divisional games too.
Well, I think it's I'm going to piggyback off of what Zach said and maybe add a little something to it. So the reputation of Callahan was of person that can develop quarterbacks and get them to a level. I think the argument was early in the year is that reputation true? I think to Zach's point, what he's just saying is he's stuck with him, and we're starting to see some of that development of a young guy who's 20-something games in now, who has some injuries, some adversity to overcome, who has gotten incrementally better week to week over the past couple weeks. So you're starting to see the value, if you will, of Callahan and his ability as a developer of quarterbacks. Also, I think
Callahan's gotten better too as a play caller.
That's what
I fully agree.
Also, I feel like as a play caller, he's gotten more comfortable in his skin, and even more specifically, more comfortable with the guys and understanding where they're at and their ability. I think whether you like it or not, D-Hop leaving or them trading has helped, because there's one less person you have to be concerned with feeding, getting the ball to.
Right. And you said that early on, and that's been true. I mean, Calvin Ridley has, you know who the dog is, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, there's no confusing that. And Calvin Ridley now with 24 receptions for 358 yards and 2 touchdowns since D-Hop left.
And he had a touchdown wiped off today. That stat line could have been better.
Spreads.
Yeah.
They could have had 2 100-yard wide receivers had not been for that penalty.
How about that?
So what y'all are saying
Think about that for a second. When's the last time we've been able to say that?
And a 300-yard passer.
Yes.
Yeah. So to your point, Zach, are you starting to see the value in Callahan as to why they brought him here, knowing they had Will Levis here as a young quarterback?
And the other question is where does this team, the decision makers, the staff, rank Will Levis against this upcoming draft class? That is another question that has to be observed. Do they think Will Levis, if he would been coming out of this draft class, would he be better than Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward, and all this kind of stuff? Because a lot of people thought that he was going to go first round, and now a lot of people don't know who's going to go first round.
Yeah.
That is a part of the evaluation. I'm not saying that he is or not, just on the record, just want everybody to know that I'm still Team Shadur.
Yeah. Do y'all happen to know, you probably don't know, it's too early to even know this, is there one of those just weird, we traded for this draft pick and now the Chiefs have number 1 overall if so-and-so has the number 1 pick? Is it one of those years by chance? Do y'all know? Because, every year be something like that where the rich get richer, where we get their number 1 pick because they're in the top 5 because we traded so-and-so away, so we get their pick. It's not like that this year, right?
The Chiefs didn't even go up into the top 10 to get Mahomes, did they?
No, I think they got him at they may have gotten him right at 10.
Oh, maybe 10?
Yeah, I think it was maybe 10.
But here, you guys know this as well as I do. We can all sit here and say this is not a good quarterback class right now, but you know as well as I do, once we get toward going to draft season, the NFL media is going to start pumping up 2, 3, 4 of these dudes, right?
Yeah.
And my guess is it'll be Shador.
And the college football playoffs will be big for Cam Ward, Shador, and Jalen Milroe.
Right, and that's why I like talking with guys like Greg Cosell, because I think a lot of us get wrapped into production, and he looks way beyond that. He looks at film, and so like I love getting opinions from guys like that. 615-737-1045. More Elite Company Titans Talkback coming up. More of your reaction. We'll get to you. We do have one line open if you want in, 615-737-1045. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Lee Company, Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Dr. Kevin Dyson, Zach Lyons with you until 6:30. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com, 615-737-1045. Previous caller mentioned the Music City Miracle, and you just threw out, we're almost 25 years. Next year, right?
25 years this January. It's crazy. This was our Super Bowl run season 25 years ago.
That's right. So I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about that because I love asking you about that. Like, Dice and I have done discussions in front of lots of people about this several times. Like, it's so much fun for me. Did you understand in the moment? Well, let me ask that second. How much fun did you have that night?
Not much. I went home, went to sleep. I went home, watched the highlights, and I think I watched SportsCenter because honestly, I hadn't seen the replay. I knew they had the replay. That was when we reinstated it. The replay that year, that season was the first year they reinstated it, and so I knew they were going to review it.
Yeah.
But honestly, at that moment, people were asking me like, "Would you get back?" So yeah, because I lunged. And I'm not looking at myself in proximity to the player or how the ball's flying.
No, but you were moving back, and he was moving forward, which made it look weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so in the moment, I was like, oh, it's close. It wasn't until I got home and watched it. I was like, oh, that's why everybody was like, it's close, So, yeah. But I went home. I think I had a little bit of
So walking to your car, you didn't feel like some sort of superhero? Like, it was just like, I'm walking to my car.
I don't know if I felt like superhero, but definitely was euphoric. I just think because, it's something unique. You know what I mean? I've had game winners and stuff like that before, and that was a part of that story, that history for myself. And uniquely, it was my first playoff game and all that kind of stuff. But, man.
And you weren't supposed to be on the field.
No, you just dog tired at the games, man.
Yeah.
Very few people actually go out after a game and do whatever.
So was there a moment, maybe you saw like highlights or whatever, that you understood the significance of that play and how this is going to live on forever? Did you ever think like that in the moment?
No, I did not.
I mean, you're in a playoff run. I mean, right. Indianapolis is next.
I don't think I thought that until I listened to the commentary after the fact, and I heard what Theismann and the likes were saying about it because they were there, right? Mm-hmm. And comparing it to Franco, Immaculate Reception. Mm-hmm. And they're showing that replay, and then the Mississippi Miracle.
That's a great story.
Right. And so it's just, until then I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But at the same time, the mind of an athlete is, I'm going to enjoy this for now, but tomorrow it's.
You got Indy.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it was kind of that.
On the road,
thing. Too. Yeah.
And then Jacksonville and your head coach calling Alltel Stadium your second home. Like, Blaine was like, dude, what are you doing to us?
Yeah.
Stop, Fishbone.
And then to go up there and beat them, man. And the way we beat them, wasn't even close. Mm-hmm. It was close for about 2.5 quarters.
What an incredible run. 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
How about that? 615-737-1045. 615-737-1045. The Higginbotham right call of the game. Higginbotham can be your business teammate by helping manage your risks, limit your liability, put a plan of action in place, and control your costs. Insurance plans for your company and your assets. It's all online at higginbotham.com. The Higginbotham right call of the game for me was 3rd and 10 at the 2-yard line. Why not with a really bad offensive line? Put the quarterback in the middle of the end zone and allow a deep route to happen and throw it. And 98 yards later, touchdown, NWI. You had something different, Jackson.
Yeah, mine was Callahan losing his mind. Great call for him.
That's a great call for him.
I love what he said after the game. Like, well, what were the officials saying? He said, well, they don't really say anything. They just let you scream at them for a minute, which I thought was funny. So there you go. Higginbotham insurance plans for your company and your assets. It's all online at higginbotham.com. There you go. 615-737-1045. Getting your reaction. Let's go to Alan next up on Titans Talkback. Alan, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about Cleet Blakeman. He may be the worst officiating crew since Jerome Boger. I think the Titans won the game today, and it should have been just a Titans win, Minnesota lost, but the Titans can't beat Blakeman. And when I compare somebody to Jerome Boger, that's pretty bad.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. Yeah, Clete Blakeman, the head referee today.
He was terrible.
Some questionable calls at best.
It was a struggle.
Teron Davenport just put this out there on Twitter. Big Jeff said this on the calls versus the Titans. I think we're cursed when it comes to officiating. That's what Big Jeff said.
Sure feels like it. I feel like if the NFL has to keep sending you emails to apologize for calls, kind of feels like they're out to get you.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
or they're just really bad at officiating. Either way, I lean with the latter, by the way.
Yeah.
They are really bad at officiating. They have to figure this out. And now I will say this, me, Blaine, and Coach Mack have offered our services to start a referee grading system or training system to try and fix this.
By the way, this has nothing to do with the Titans game, but Zeph sent this to the 3HL crew. From Steve Palazzolo, winning percentage as Jets starting quarterback. Zach Wilson, 364. Sam Darnold, 342. Aaron Rodgers, 273. That guy looks so disinterested, man.
Money well spent.
Someone said that he was quiet quitting.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
615-737-1045.
Back to the official, just for a second.
Yes,
I know we got to go back to calls.
Yes, sir.
This is one of those things where the distinction between the good crews or the crews that call more penalties than others or whatever your benchmark is the ones that are calling games late January into February. And they're graded just like everybody else, right? People watch film on them. People are in the building grading them and things of that nature. So I venture to say this is a staff that, I don't know, and you probably know better than me, Zach, that maybe they have a higher rate of calling penalties than another staff.
Because Mike Keith says it whenever he does
the research on that.
Yeah, 18th or third highest in overall penalties, this crew. And I think they just had like the top highest like a couple weeks ago. And then
this is who you get when you're 2-8, man.
And then they had the highest number of defensive holding penalties called. And when they said that, I looked at Lucas and Jackson in the studio and I go, well, we know Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is going to get a couple called on him.
He is handsy.
Yeah.
What did you think about Justin Jefferson today? 2 games in a row, he's under 100 yards.
Yeah.
And the job that the Titans did on him. And also, we kept talking during the week about Jordan Addison, and not to forget about him. 47-yard touchdown. He's got 14 touchdown catches in his first 25 games. Gets, no attention.
You know, the best coverage is a good pass rush. And there were several times, and I just happened to be watching Jefferson because I wanted to see him work. You know, just like going to the Alabama Vanderbilt game. I want to see who this Ryan Williams kid is. Mm-hmm. Just receiver to receiver, watch him. And I wanted to see Jefferson work, because highlights are one thing. You can watch a game on TV, that's another, but to see him in person and live. And there were several times in the zone he was butt naked and he was scot-free. But Darnold couldn't get to him.
Yeah.
He had to dump it off because they didn't have time to, or they had a guy over the top that made it I don't want to make that because it could be a pick. So the Titans did what they needed to do within the scheme and coverage. But there were some times where he was there. But more often than not, he had somebody around him. And whether they were going to make the play or not, he was surrounded. So, kudos to them. They said, you're not going to beat us. And, he still had, 50-something, 60-something yards?
81. 6 for 81.
It's the quietest 81-yard game.
And that's why
it felt like, because when.
So used to 150 from him.
Lucas was like, what has he got, 50, 30? I was like, no, he's got 81. And it's the quietest game. They finally started going at Jordan Addison, but he was 3 for 8.
Yeah.
But because all year they really haven't been targeting him, and he only had 298 yards or 89 yards coming into this game. But like you say, he just scores touchdown. But there was a lot of times where he was getting open. But today I think Addison had a good enough game to obviously win them the game, mainly because of that 47-yard touchdown where communication just broke down in that zone coverage back there. But other than that, I mean, he wasn't relatively effective. But sometimes all that matters is that one play.
Dice, did you notice anything specific on that one? That long touchdown?
I just did miscommunication. I know the linebacker just jumped the shallower route and left the guy in the middle. The defense is wide open. Usually linebackers will still drop it and drive on anything short. Excuse me. So he just wide open middle of the field. And Sam Darnold bought enough time to be able to step up and move slightly, I think, left and make that read. And at that point, because I think Jefferson cleared out, there he got everybody's attention. By the time the safety recognized that it was a foot race, and he was already off to the races.
I mean, for the most part, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison versus a fifth-round rookie and an undrafted free agent and Darrell Baker Jr., who's played, I think, just 2 years in the league before this. They did pretty good.
They held up.
I mean, again, it's like it's really hard to put a lot of the blame on the defense. It's really just all circles back to that right tackle, right side of the offensive line for me.
Did y'all happen to notice? Sorry, Dice.
No, I was going to say the best coverage for any DB is a pass rush.
And I also say this: if this defensive unit got like awards, they would be all pros for almost sacking the quarterback. Like, I mean, I've never seen a team almost sack a quarterback so many times.
But to Dice, that's a veteran quarterback who's releasing the ball before he gets sacked and probably not going where he wants to go with it.
And sometimes they're missing him. Like, I know Tavondre Sweat missed one. He had the hit, and then Sam Darnold got out of it. And there was a couple times they just flushed him out, and he was able to, and the coverage couldn't hold up for 4 or 5 seconds.
That was surprising to me is his mobility. Was a lot better than I even think people even say about him. Like, I was watching, he broke a couple tackles, he extended plays. You know what I mean? He's no Lamar Jackson by any stretch of imagination, but
he can move around.
Pretty good. Yeah.
The play Zach's talking about, the very next play, Tavondre Sweat was it Aaron Jones picked up the running back and dumped him. Like, I mean, Tavondre Sweat is going to be something.
He's going to be all right.
615-737-1045. By the way, did you guys see Dr. Gibby's injury?
Ooh, yeah.
They didn't replay it on. It
was bad.
Television.
We saw it on the initial replay of the actual play itself. They weren't focused in on him, but you could see it in the background.
Was it leg?
Ankle.
His foot was the other direction.
Similar to my boy back a few years ago when he was returning kicks.
I'm trying to think. His foot was in the other direction. I know that. 615-737-1045. Jeremiah next up. Jeremiah, what's up? How are you?
Thanks for taking my call. I enjoy listening to y'all. I've learned a lot more about football just listening to y'all. But listen, I got a riddle for y'all just to put a smile on your face. You got a quarterback, you got a halfback, and you got a fullback. There only one time there's ever been a 3 quarterback. Who was it and what team did he play on?
Only one time there's been a what?
3 quarterback.
A free quarterback?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
All right, Jeremiah. Jeremiah's got jokes.
Oh, Mark Mariani. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
When he broke his, then was it like that?
No. Okay, so Mark's was compound.
Oh.
Leg broken, bone through skin.
Yeah, that right there.
And he tells this story. It's not a funny story. I mean, I guess now we can laugh about it. But number one, it was preseason game, so his parents weren't here. They were watching on television in Montana. Number two, he said he didn't know it was him that got hurt. And he said that everybody was coming out, and he was like, "Dog, who got hurt?" And they're like, "You, man, stay still."
Oh, man.
But they had to reset it on the field.
See, and I was thinking it was something like that. I didn't even look. I just kept on talking. I'm not looking at that.
Yeah, that was not good. 615-737-1045.
You know it's bad when players don't look. Like, there takes a lot for us not to, you know what I'm saying? When you start seeing guys cringe up and run off and look, you know it's pretty bad.
No, it was bone through skin.
Yeah.
That was a tough rehab, too. And you know from having to do that, that is a lonely place to be, man.
Rehab is the worst.
Because you don't feel like you're a part of the team at all.
No, you go to the games and people acknowledge you, but it's still, man, there's something about being together and going to battle with the guys, man.
Getting dressed in the locker room.
Yeah, man. And then you see them at practice and you're in there just getting ice and stem and doing exercises. You know, it's like, dang, I'd rather be out here with you, you know, hot. That's why when as a coach, I'd say the same thing, man. You enjoy these moments because this is gonna go by fast. You're gonna wish you were back in July, August in the heat practicing, because now it's over. You know what I mean? And it's
a lot of guys when they get done, they tell me they don't necessarily miss the game. A lot of them do, but they miss the guys way more than
the preparation, the bantering, the going back,
doing
and
it
forth.
together.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
Being a part of something bigger than you.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yep. 615-737-1045. Mayor Ron next up. Mayor Ron, what you got?
Hey, what's going on, Mayor? Hey, Zach, how you doing? I've spoke to you before on your show. Hey, I just want to touch on something that has seemed to be the standard since Callahan. You touched on it earlier. Made the comment where he said that the league called him and kind of apologized to him and said that we missed that call. And he said, I probably shouldn't have said that. Now, since then, we have seemed to reap the benefits of this week after week after week. And the blame for the bad referees can easily be put on somebody that put it out there, a rookie coach, and say, he said something, so let's just make him look like the bad guy. I think this
all coaches
very personal. I think it's personal.
Mayor Ron, all coaches talk about that phone call. Like, I remember Vrabes talking about it, and he would say, like, that's literally the most worthless phone call you'll get all week. It's because, like, what? You apologize for a missed call. Like, what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
Yeah, doesn't change anything.
Yeah. So that's not just a Callahan thing, man. If you start paying attention, you'll hear other coaches doing it. Thank you, Mayor Ron. Appreciate you, man. 615-737-1045. Jason next up on Titans Talkback. Jason, what's up?
Yeah. When we going to stop blaming Will Levis for calls? I think he broke a Titans record. That 98-yarder was, I think they said in the game that might have been a record.
It broke a Titans record. It tied a franchise record. Zach had it from 1962.
Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. But I don't think we have a quarterback problem. I think we have a right tackle problem. We don't have a decent right tackle that has a brain how to guard somebody.
I mean, yeah.
That's what Zach's been saying.
I mean, at least for today's game.
I love the show with, like, how can a non-skill position cost you a game? And it did. Right tackle cost you a game today.
Yeah, I mean, Levis has been an issue the first part of the season. I mean, I think you could say that you did have a quarterback issue at the beginning of the season, but like I've said, the last two games, I can't really say that you have a quarterback issue. You may still have a quarterback future issue, but you don't have a current week-to-week quarterback issue.
No, I think it's two positive performances stacked together.
Yeah.
So
got to see more.
Yeah,
keep it going.
Got to see more. So, I'm not, based on two performances, I'm not ready to anoint him the starter for, like, the next 4 years.
Right.
Still evaluation process. But from a Will Levis standpoint, that is a positive thing. Here's the other thing. Remember the first game of the year where he was drifting to the left?
Yep.
He stopped doing that the very next game. Remember when he would, like, throw it underhand to the other team? He stopped doing that. And now he holds the ball and takes sacks. Because remember, we used to say, hey, man, just live to fight another day. Mm-hmm. Take the sack. And I think they have too. And so now he's working through holding on to the ball too long. Okay. Well, today he went against a very complex defense, maybe the most complex defense in the NFL, certainly the most blitz rate heavy defense in the NFL, and held up.
Yeah.
Almost threw for 300 yards on them and didn't turn it over until the throw it up play at the end.
The game. I know it's a lot of clock time when they were taking up to the end, 3, 4, sometimes 2 seconds left on the play clock.
To make them show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Harrison Smith would take off sprinting back for cover one.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is it appears like he's the kind of guy that learns from his mistakes.
Yes. It didn't seem like that early on, right?
Right.
We kept seeing the same kind of bonehead play.
I think the injury came at a right time. I mean, let's call it like it is. It probably didn't feel like it at the time.
Yeah.
But that was a godsend for Will Levis because it looks like he did get things put into perspective. Mm-hmm. And I think that if he would have continued playing and regardless of injury, if he would have continued playing, I don't think we'd see this.
I think that's a great point because before the injury, I felt like he was like the Tasmanian devil. Like he was just running on red all the time.
Yeah.
And now I don't feel that way at all. Like I feel like even when he gets sacked and things, I feel like he is at least in control of him and the situation and that it's not sped up.
Yeah.
It felt like he was constantly in fight or flight. Like just his brain was just moving constantly, and it's like fight or flight, anxiety just everywhere, and you don't see that right now.
So now it's different too. You come in, and I can attest to this. You come in your rookie year, and you just I don't want to say just have to be part of something, but you are. It's just like you're almost expected to make mistakes. So if you make them, it's like whatever. But when you become the man, and you know the responsibility is on you, and mistakes are amplified, and everyone is amplified. There's a level of pressure that comes with that, a level of expectation, not only from outward sources, you inwardly, you start putting that added pressure on yourself and the expectations on yourself. And he has said, he's verbalized that. The stress that he has. That's why I even made that comment. Somebody needs to check on him because mentally that could take its toll. And of all positions in the NFL, mentally to get shook at quarterback is the worst kind of shook you can be because so much is dependent on what they process and what they do.
Slay made a great point last week on 3HL where, we were talking about the Chargers game and how it was his best in all of these statistical categories. And Slay said, yeah, but the problem is they should have come into the season right here.
Yes.
Like he shouldn't have had an 8-game ramp up to right here. And I thought that was a really good point.
I would even make the argument or give him the pass for one or two hiccups.
Yeah.
Like learn from the Chicago mistake. Learn from that bonehead play against the Jets. Or is it Jets or Green Bay?
Jets.
Jets. Well, both
there's both.
Yeah.
There was
Jets,
both.
Yeah, both.
But he didn't learn from the Jets game in the Green Bay.
and I would have given you that to see him. Okay, now he's getting better, and he's getting better. But to now, like okay, at least we're getting more.
Daryl is next up. If you want in, 615-737-1045. More of Lee Company Titans Talkback coming up. We've got you till 6:30. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. It is Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Titans fall 23-13. Rolling through your reaction. 615-737-1045. We've got you till 6:30. Bengals at Chargers coming up at tonight on Sunday Night Football. And Westwood One coverage begins at 6:30. 615-737-1045. More of your reaction to the Titans falling today against Minnesota. A lot of Vikings fans in town, as you all know. Daryl, next up. Daryl, what's up, man? How are you? Yo, Daryl.
Hi, this is Carol.
Carol. Okay, he wrote Daryl. I'm sorry. Carol.
That's all right. I was calling from my car, so it's probably breaking up.
I gotcha.
First-time caller, long-time listener. Love all your shows through HL and Cover 2.
Thank you.
And my biggest beef about this game, other than the right side of the line, was the officiating. And especially in the end zone, that call, 4th and 1,
Yep.
and that just blew us up. And then the alleged horse collar on Brownlee for the unnecessary roughness.
Yes, the broadcast crew said that should not have been called. Gene Steratore, their official rules guy, said the one in the end zone should not have been called. So, yeah, you picked two good ones.
Yeah, I was listening. I was watching the game on TV, and I heard his comments. Is there any repercussions for an officiating team when they make bad calls like that?
Well, they get graded, so if they want to be a playoff crew, then they need to grade out well. But
and primetime games,
this crew will not grade out well from this game.
Obviously,
and they
it was just one of those days.
Zach, you pointed out they were already like
third
worst.
Yeah, third most penalties were called.
Yeah, which is not what we pay to see. But anyway.
No, I just wish there was some way they could get fined and hit them in their pockets, and maybe send them back for retraining or something.
Hey, Carol,
I'll hang up and
thanks for calling in. Thanks for the positive feedback about the shows. 615-737-1045. Cedric next up on Titans Talkback. Cedric.
What's up, big dog? Third most penalties were called. Hello?
Hey,
turn your radio down, Cedric.
Man, that was a rookie move, bro. I'm better than that, man. You know what I'm saying? My bad, I had a drop right there. Hey, listen, I got to talk about the O-line, man, and the center communication. How do we continue to get beat up the middle when teams are showing that they're going to blitz, and the communication between the guard and center, and it does not matter who is playing center right there, we continue to get pressure up Will Levis's face. All right, that's one. Two, we talked about this last week. I love the way that kid competed today. You saw, man, the play where he stepped up in the pocket getting pressure and launched the ball down the field. I can't remember who he hit, but the arm talent is there. The athleticism is there.
The competitiveness is there.
Man, I don't know how somebody in the studio says that they don't see the talent in this kid and that he might not be able to be the starter past 2025. I ain't calling no names right now, but we got to talk about that.
See you, Cedric, man. Thanks for the call, bro.
Well, coming from the Isaiah Prince of callers, who, what a major faux pas by him not to even have the thing called volume down. But you can't take two games and say, okay, well, he's for sure the guy. Well, that's how you get into trouble. That's how you get bad quarterback contracts. That's how you continue to be a bad franchise. I have gone on record and said, I don't believe in Will Levis. But he has plenty of chances to prove me wrong. I will always be objective about how he plays game to game. Because I went in on the morning show last Monday when I heard them on Monday just saying that he hadn't progressed. Now, those were their words. He didn't progress. And I'm like, no, he objectively progressed. And he
progressed. Talking about in the Chargers game?
Yeah, the Chargers game.
He progressed.
He progressed again this week. Now he's got to continue doing it. He's got to earn it back. Mm-hmm. And he's got to earn it with his coaches, he's got to earn it with his team. I think that's just NFL. I will also look at this. The middle, I am with said about the middle. To me, Daniel Brunskill and Dylan Radins both had bad games today. Obviously the right tackle did too, but I am. Last week, Daniel Brunskill was great. He didn't allow any pressures. This week, I think he allowed like at least 3 or 4.
Yeah. Sid brought up a good point about Will Levis, and I think we said it earlier, is he progressing enough that you are making that consideration beyond, not just beyond this year, beyond him being the guy for 25? And I think I asked that earlier, and I think Zach has his side of things and thinks that he will get the opportunity in 2025. And I to me, if he continue down the street he's going right now, it'd be hard for anybody to say he doesn't deserve that. I think we got to get that sour taste out of our mouth of the first quarter and a half of the season where it was grim. That's putting it lightly. And I think we all have that still, that aftertaste of that when we see this play he is playing now, because he's playing at a pretty good level. Obviously, we saw him today against one of the best defenses in the National Football League. No turnovers, 1 turnover, almost 300 yards, and had a touchdown taken away. So if he continues down this track, I think you could say I feel comfortable, at least for next year for sure,
right,
with him being behind center, as long as, and again, there's the asterisk to the whole thing, as you solidify that front 5.
I considered it a soft reset. Whenever he came back from the injury, I was like, okay, we got that first part of the season.
Yeah.
We're going to lump that all in as one game. We know what he has to improve. So we know all the marks. Now it's time for him and he has improved those in the Chargers game and this game. So let's keep it going. Let's keep the momentum, because that to me has been his biggest issue, is keeping the momentum as a passer. That's been his issue in college. That's his issue in the pros. Got to have that consistency. So I'm riding. I've said it for a while now. I'm riding the Will Levis roller coaster, and I'm going to be objective about every game. Did he improve from last game? Did he fix other things? Did he decline? That's what we got to do.
Yeah. Maybe people just haven't forgiven him for the first part of the season.
Here's the thing. Like, if he plays well for 2 weeks in a row, which he has, like, if we're going to kill him when he doesn't play well, shouldn't we give him flowers when he does?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Regardless of what you think about him. Yeah. And whether he's the long-term solution or not, I don't know. But
what's that old saying, ball coaches, people used to say, you're good as your last game?
Yeah.
You know? So
that, and you are what your record is.
That is also true.
I mean, he made progress last week. And it's funny, he 7.6 yards per attempt last week, which was his high for the season. And it was 9.7, I think, this week. My computer just went out.
I'll have to, let's see here. Yes, I believe that's right.
It was 9.5. 9.5. 17 to 31, 295, 9.5 per attempt, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. To Dyson's point, the interception came late, where they needed to score multiple times and do it quickly. So, 51-yard touchdown taken off the board by an illegal formation, which had nothing to do with the pocket to play or anything. So, again, he could have had back-to-back 2 touchdown, no interceptions performances, which you would have. Like last week, he was 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. That was the first time since November of last year.
And against a better team, he's 1 touchdown, 1 interception, more yards. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
I'm not going to minimize his performance against that Vikings defense, man.
But y'all remember,
tough.
But I'm with you. If I'm going to beat up on him on all the games that he was bad, and rightfully so, that was rightful to be objective about his performances this first part of the season. I got to be objective and continue to be objective. I'm not going to keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah,
that's how you get bad, sports analysis, is if you are just constantly moving the goalposts to try to fit a narrative.
Yeah.
I still have my personal beliefs, but I'm going to be objective about what Will Levis is right now, what he could possibly be.
Yeah, you remember beginning of the year, everybody was talking about, God, if he just don't make that bonehead play.
Yeah.
Well, we got that.
Yeah, play clean. Play clean.
Just don't do that. Now you got that. It's been evident that he's gotten better, and just eliminating that has been a plus.
And last week, I mean, we're talking about the penalties from right tackle today, which were huge.
Yeah.
Let's go back to last week, where you had 3 penalties in the first quarter from the right tackle, including 2 in a row that put him 3rd and 15 or whatever, and killed a drive.
I forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah.
Right tackle is killing them. Next year's right tackle, not on this roster. They're going to have to spend like a second-round pick on a right tackle.
Everybody that has played right tackle is probably not on this roster. They may keep Leroy Watson or Jalen Duncan, but I'm not. I don't know if they keep any of these guys
Jalen
to show up.
Duncan would be the one to get kept, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
As in a backup role?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, not starting.
I mean, head coach last week said, the guys are these are the guys that we have.
That's what
I don't know what you want me to do. Right tackle. It's not like my dad can go out there.
It's kind of like when Mike Vrabel went out in front of I think the Cowboys game, was talking to Ed Wooders. Well, who the F are we supposed to throw it to?
Yeah.
All right, more Titans Talk Back. We've got you till 6:30. Brett Doherty, Dr. Kevin Dyson, Lee Company, Titans Talk Back. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. It is Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Full reaction all day tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone, as they used to say in the business. Lock it in and rip the knob off. 615-737-1045. If you want in, props to Nick Folk, who made another field goal inside 40 yards. That is 84 in a row. I can't. I don't know that there's anything I could do 84 times in a row.
I wish my golf swing, I can hit it the same way 84 times in a row.
By the way, did you see Caitlin Clark playing golf?
No.
She was doing like a pro-am thing.
Yeah.
So there's a big crowd. She's on the tee. And, drills it to the left into the gallery.
That would be my fear.
Yes,
my greatest fear. Like,
right?
Y'all might want to move. I'm not Tiger over here.
Yeah. I would be, I think everybody over to the right of any golf course, any hole that I'm driving on, back up. Get close. Because it is going to go to the right, is for sure.
It is. 615-737-1045. You want to offer up your reaction. L'Jarius Sneed missed his 5th straight game with a quad. Kind of wondering why they didn't put him on IR back in the day. It would have saved a roster spot.
It's such a weird situation. It's because at first I'm like, okay.
He's been out long enough for me to say back in the day.
Yeah. For me, it's like
5 games.
Do you think he was that close to being back every week? But your team doctors are the ones that are telling you that he's not ready. So, like, this is just a weird situation.
It is a weird situation. Wasn't his quote this week, I'm closer than close?
Yeah. I mean.
Where are you, big dog?
I don't know.
Need you out there.
Well, it could be one of those things where you try to go, like, full board and you tweak it again. You realize it's not.
Those soft tissue things, man.
Yeah, because you might feel it doing exercises or Stairmaster or treadmill or what have you, even doing some drills. But then you like, let's go. Run, full out, jerk it, change the direction.
Change the direction,
like,
too.
Wait, no, something's there, still there. So, that's
don't come back till you're ready. I just think it's a weird situation that they didn't put him on IR, and here we are 5
Because you could have put him on IR, then you still have the 21-day activation window. So we're well within that whole situation.
Right, and he would have missed 4 games. They activate the window, and we'd still be
maybe there's a level of optimism.
That's kind of what I feel. There must have been some kind of optimism in the building that we're not privy to.
Yeah.
Feel bad for Dr. Gibby, too. We mentioned this earlier, but, man, that was a nasty-looking injury, man.
I'm glad I didn't see it.
Yeah, they wouldn't show it again when they came back from break, and he was on the cart going to the locker room. And man, that dude really stepped up. When Ernest Jones left, he got another opportunity, and he was making the most of it. He had 15 tackles last week. He had 37 tackles in 3 games.
But I thought it was interesting after all the gassing up they did about Jack Gibbons and about him keeping Jerome Baker on the bench. Totally flipped this week. I think, but before he got injured, it was probably a snap count of like 28 or 29 to 6 or 7 between Baker and Jerome Baker and Dr. Gibby.
Dr. Gibby. Anyway, that was nasty. Don't go back and watch it unless you're like Don Davenport loves stuff like that.
I can't.
Like she watches Pimple Popper and all that. So like she used to try to show me and Slay, and we're like, no.
We watched Dr. Pimple Popper in our house.
Okay, well, she likes to do it right over there during a break. And I'm like, nope. I don't want to see some weird growth out of someone's neck. I mean, God love them, and I'll pray for you, but I don't want to see it necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I teach their own. I side with Don on this, so.
You like gross stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, man, no.
615-737-1045. It's gross when you're 2-8, that's for sure. Jeff up next on Titans Talkback. Jeff, what's up, man?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Hey, we're great, thanks.
I'm not sure I've ever called in y'all's show, but I've called in some other shows. I just have an idea, and it has to do with how to hold officials accountable. I think a lot of people want to do it from a negative standpoint and say, oh, bad calls, you don't get so pay. Let's look at it from a bonus standpoint. If we could put some kind of a structure in, because, I think the average official makes about $13,000 a game. Throw in a bonus structure to say, look, you make good calls and you don't have any penalties, you're going to make $2,500 more. And for every bad call you make that gets reviewed from whatever review process, you lose $500. That comes right off. You make a bad horse collar call, you make a bad call like we've seen today, you lose a little bit of money from a bonus standpoint, not their standard pay. And then here's the thing. Once you've made a couple of bad calls or 3 bad calls, the next bad call you make, not only do you lose that,
your whole team loses that. Your whole officiating team loses that. So then they start to have to work together to make sure that they're doing the best they possibly can to make the money that they want to make the best possible calls. Not impacting their pay on a normal standard, but a bonus structure. I'd kind of like to see something like that, because then I think we may see some better calls.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, if you put financial incentives, I mean, most people would respond. While he was talking, I looked up official. Well, this is referee, so they're not all referees. There's one head referee. The rest are officials. But anyway, I digress. Referees with less than 2 years of experience, I think they're talking about officials. Officials with less than 2 years of experience earn around $1,000 per game, while those with 2 to 5 years earn around $3,000 per game, which is up over $200,000. More experienced referees can earn over $10,000 per game.
I think they should make the letters public. I think if they're going to write them to the coaches and tell them or the teams and say, hey, we got this call wrong, I think they should make those public. And it should not be illegal or a finable offense for a coach to talk about it. Because I think that you got to have some level of accountability. It's like, okay, your accountability is you don't get to the Super Bowl. Okay, well, I get that. I mean, that's a big thing. But only one crew gets to go to the Super Bowl. Out of how many crews every week are officiating these games? I mean, yes, that's some incentive, but I think there needs to be a little bit of like accountability out there, or there needs to be referee stats beyond just how many they call. How many did they get right?
Yeah.
Well, if you do get on a playoff crew, you make more money, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is that incentive. But and they all, it's not like they want to do a bad job.
No.
You know what I mean? Now, some of them
maybe some of them. I mean, we don't know who's, maybe got some money on the game.
Wow, that's quite an accusation.
That happened, though. We saw that in the NBA.
We did see it in the NBA. But some of them, let's say, might have an ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've come across those dudes. Like,
so let me ask, because I'm not sure. As far as the officiating, do they go like the crew stay together as they're graded and go from game to game? They don't take the best play; they take the whole crew, right?
Yep.
So essentially, your expectation is that by the time you get to February, whatever the date is for Super Bowl, that's the best crew. And correct me if I'm wrong, the last 2 Super Bowls have had questionable calls, whether it be that touchdown, the Chiefs-Eagles, where they called the pass interference at the end, where it was pass interference. He grabbed the jersey, but how often is that called in that instance? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, they've had quote-unquote calls that have impacted the game in the last couple of Super Bowls. So I'm just saying that to say it's human error. These dudes are moving at the speed of light, a lot of them fast. And so an interpretation of the rules might be a little bit different. And I will say this about that call in the end zone. My first instinct was that's nature of the game now, right? But I think, and I could be wrong on this, they're also told and instructed, whether they get the apology or it's the right or wrong call or not, to err on the side of caution. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to player safety. So they are calling those calls, whether it's close or not, they're already throwing the flag, and then they go to review. Now, I don't know why that one isn't reviewable. I don't know the rules enough to know.
It's to me, that's kind of crazy that it's not reviewable.
Yeah, well,
and especially because if someone's in New York can blatantly see it, they should. I think a call like that, especially a call that is in the end zone specifically, it's almost like you should make them all reviewable in the end zone or in the red zone, or you got to figure out a better system, because we have all these computers and supposedly all these cameras. You can go frame by frame by frame. And obviously then that leaks into holding calls, right? Obviously holding calls, we get enough of those. We don't need those reviewed.
Where does it
but
stop?
Something like that seems like that should be so easily reviewable with everything that's going on in the NFL and technology.
Oh, they definitely could. Just hit a button.
Yeah.
There you go. Look, man, I know
pace of play is a thing too, though.
Pace of play is a thing.
Yeah.
And I know two, but get it right also, right?
Yeah.
Like, so 2 of y'all called this penalty in the end zone. It's wrong. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll review why it's wrong later.
Take 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's what you say. But again, we're talking about human error and play and game takes place. So you stop them for all these bang bang plays. Before you know it, you got 4.5 hour games.
I don't think you stop it. I just think before the next play is run, like if you get a better look at it, hit the button. If
well,
you don't,
especially because the flag got thrown, and how long were we waiting for them to come together and actually deliver what they were going to give us? I mean, still, at some point, someone could have eased, especially on a play like this. There could be some plays where it would be longer, but a play like this would be like New York calls down and says, dude, he didn't even leave his feet. It's plain as day. You guys just need to pick up your flags.
But, okay, this play alone, I don't understand why this was not reviewed because any other time when you targeting or unsportsmanlike unnecessary roughness or something like that, they usually do, especially if it's towards the head area. So I don't know why this one wasn't reviewed. I guess because it weren't necessarily a penalty where it could have cost a guy the play. They would have kicked him out the game. Maybe that's why it wasn't reviewed.
Yeah, because they never mentioned the head. They just said launch and used his head, which I didn't think he did. Number one, he didn't launch. His feet were on the ground when he hit him. Number two, it looked like his shoulder pad is what hit him. I thought it was exactly what they teach you to do.
Dude, if I bet you, if he wraps up and doesn't throw his shoulder, if he goes for a tackle, I bet you that there's no call. But since he looks like he threw his body, which, feet on the ground or not, a point of contact, that looks like.
It looked a certain kind of way in real time. It really did.
Yeah.
But once you look at it again, to Zach's point, I wish there was a button.
Ultimately, the issue is that it wasn't reviewable or it's not a reviewable, and that's where they got to start figuring out what can and can't be reviewable. Instead of trying to come up with a crazy kickoff rule that nobody can enforce and nobody knows really what's going on, they should be working on, instead of adding more complicated pieces to the plate of the referees, they should work on fixing what the problems are with the referees now, because that comes down to education, training, all that kind of stuff. Is when you have bad education, bad processes, bad training in place, you're going to have bad referees.
Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online, leecompany.com. When we come back, we've got the Eurofix look ahead for you. Titans at Texans. We'll break it down next. Titans Talkback, 104.5 The Zone. Titans Talkback, Lee Company. All you need, visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Titans fall today, 23-13. They are 2-8. We tried to look through some of the positives today. I'm very proud of us.
I think it's important to listen. This is a lost season. Us just sitting there and just bashing all the negatives, which really the negatives are very concentrated.
Y'all coming to the dark side of Dyson. I'm always a half full guy.
Well, I think it's vacation, Zach. I'm going on vacation, so peace. I don't have to talk about this team all week, so a little bit of that.
There
so
you
I'll
go.
be back Sunday. I look at like beating a dead horse constantly isn't conducive for anybody. You guys as listeners, you don't learn anything. You don't hear anything. You just hear one side of how everything is bad. And I feel like you just get caught in an echo chamber of negativity all week. Yeah. And to me,
a lot of people enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that love the misery. Misery loves company, right?
I mean, the political season is over, but
yeah. University of Tennessee fans and the Tennessee Titans fans got a cross section of just losses today with referees involved.
It's going to be good talk.
It's going to be a week of all that. So I felt like today it was good to focus on a little bit of the positive again. Right tackle's an issue. We've talked about right tackle being an issue all year.
Yeah.
The referees were an issue today, and we talked about that throughout the show. Other than that, I mean, this team was good enough to win the game. You know what we haven't talked about? Special teams.
Good point.
I mean, they had a 35-yard return because Nick Folk kicked it. Okay, he kicked it 10 yards short.
I mean, that's about the average, right?
Yeah, and he kicked it 10 yards short,
NFL.
and the guy ran it. And
Also, Jaquan Jackson, 21-yard punt return with a late hit, extra 15 on Nashville native Ty Chandler.
I mean, it's
good to see him back.
The special teams looked really good.
Yeah,
or not really good, but I mean, they looked better in comparison.
Yeah, compared to what has been.
Real quick about Ty Chandler, and I'm being very, very serious. That is a good dude right there, man.
Yeah.
And it was good to see him be able to run around on the field at Nissan Stadium. Obviously, growing up here, that had to be special for him.
Oh, you know it is, man. You get to go home and play in front. You know, I wonder how many tickets he bought.
Right? He played over at NBA with Jackson Lampley.
Yeah.
Blowing out holes for him.
I'm telling you.
Here's some more positivity for you. Tennessee Titans are picking number 2 overall in the NFL draft right now.
Who has won?
Let me pull that up. I believe it is the Giants, I think.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, actually. Jacksonville is.
Yeah, I don't think they're moving off that spot.
And then again, I don't think they got any trade clauses or in there where they give up their top 5 pick to anybody based on a trade or anything like that,
I don't
right?
think so.
So with that in mind, are they going quarterback? It just for fun's sake, are they going quarterback even though they got Trevor Lawrence? And
No,
they just
they're
signed
going
him?
Travis Hunter.
So I would go Travis
There is
Hunter.
no doubt.
Right.
I would not. You could get your next Jalen Ramsey and have a do-over and do it right.
There is
Yes.
some of these mock guys are putting. There's a defensive tackle at Michigan that people are putting number 1 now.
Yeah.
I
It just
mean,
depends on the
it'll
franchise.
depend, yeah.
Like if the Titans have number 1, who you think they go? Do they go Shadir?
I think it's going to be really hard for whoever has number 1 not to take Travis Hunter. I really do.
Yeah.
Whether you play him a wide receiver or cornerback, that's a decision you can make as a
To
team.
me, he's like Champ. He's going to be like Champ. He's more of a shutdown corner with his stature and way he plays and moves that can moonlight as a receiver.
We asked you about him a couple of weeks ago, and you said, "Look, he's such a good athlete. When he's a wide receiver, he knows where to go and kind of." And he like literally, if you watch Travis Hunter play wide receiver, he like points up in the air when he's like ready.
He's just
for Shador,
athlete.
and so Shador will see him and throw it to him. So he needs if he's going to be a wide receiver, but that's where the money is between the two positions.
Well, that's your lockdown corner.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what a team does because I can see the Tennessee
package at wide receiver.
Because I can see the Tennessee Titans the way that they are built now with Jarvis Brownlee Jr., Roger McCreary, Cheeto, who we forget is still on this team and going to be under contract, L'Jarius Sneed. I could see them turning Travis Hunter into a wide receiver opposite Calvin Ridley. I mean, I
think
may
so?
not be the best idea, but I could see that possibility. For the Jaguars, he would be a corner.
I just see him differently. I watch him play receiver. He's more of an athlete than a receiver,
like a guy playing in the yard.
Yeah, you know what I mean. He's
not in the street is how we used to do it.
Yes, he's not a route runner. He's more of a glider. I say glider. He's just, like if you tell him to go deep, make one cut, post, yes, but the skill, the double moves, the hip movement, I haven't seen that. But they don't make him do that. They just use his athleticism, get the ball in his hands, and let him be the special person that he is.
Well, when you talk about route running with a receiver, I'd listen.
Yeah. But if you watch him, though, I mean, Adoree Jackson comes to mind. He's more skilled as a receiver than Adoree was, but Adoree was special when he had the ball in his hand in college too, right? But you saw how that went. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Receiver is different.
It's a lot to put on a guy.
And receiver is different than what people think. College receiver and pro receiver is a lot different. What you're asked to do and tasked to do as a receiver, the movement, be able to change direction, come in and out, and be able to that physicality with people to be at these corners. He has that naturally at corner. I think he can play receiver. He just there's a lot more work to that than him naturally going to corner.
Real quick, because we need to get this done in the next 5 minutes. Eurofix look ahead. Now we look ahead to next week's opponent in the look ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for more than 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, the Titans go to Houston to take on the Texans, who actually play on Monday night against the Cowboys. So you can take a look at them tomorrow night. But FPI on ESPN gives the Titans a 31.9% chance to win. Houston 6-4, 4-1 at home.
We got a chance.
Yep,
always.
The Texans are really good at home, so that's the big issue.
Stroud is very good at home.
The big issue for them right now is that the Bobby Slowick and C.J. Stroud are both having a down year. Still having good years, but having a down year. And I think you're getting a Tennessee Titans team that's probably a little pissed with how the game unfolded today. Mm-hmm. I think there is a possibility that I think the line is probably going to be pretty close. I think, and all that kind of stuff. We'll see what the Texans look like against the Cowboys. Because if they struggle against the Cowboys, regardless of if they're home or away, there's an opportunity for the Tennessee Titans to slide in and try to steal a win from the Texans.
They have lost 3 out of 4, the Texans. They're 4-1 at home, but their one loss came last time
and
out
no Nico.
against Detroit.
They're getting Nico back. So, but they don't have Will Anderson, so it's like you traded out one for the other.
That is true.
But again, they love their home cooking. So
yeah.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
When they hate the Titans.
Yeah, for sure.
And this one's special to the Adams family for sure. That's our look ahead presented by Eurofix. That's EurofixOnline.com. Sorry, Zach.
No. I just wanted to ask, how far away do you think Travis Hunter is from being able to refine his route running enough to start out as a wide receiver? Like, is that something that he could really focus on in the offseason when the season's over and he's preparing for the draft? Mm-hmm. Really own in on that craft?
I mean, next time you watch him play, draw me a comparison to who you think in NFL he compares to as far as a wide receiver. Like,
it's tough to do. He's an incredible athlete, but you're right about, like, once you said that about his route run, I started watching it, and it is. It's like the schoolyard.
Because that's why I wonder how much he can actually improve that. Because, A.J. Brown was like, he doesn't run a full route tree, and then all of a sudden a year he does.
Yeah.
But he had a better base floor in terms of
and A.J. is 6'1", 215 pounds.
Right.
And you see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that Travis Hunter, if he put the priority on receiver, he was going to be an elite receiver.
So that's what the point I was going to make. That shows you where he is, right?
Right. Because he moonlights between the two, right?
Mm-hmm. Because I also wonder how much that impacts his ability to have time to practice route running, because he's having to practice two different positions.
And he's playing equally between the two, right?
Yeah.
And so he's a playmaker. And I'll give you an example of somebody who's not an elite route runner who I have been a fan of, D-Hop.
Yeah.
D-Hop's not an elite route runner by any stretch of imagination. And I've said this, I would tell him this. He's not. But what he is elite at, is one of the best to ever do is making plays. You can track his career and his catch radius and the things that he is. He's been one of my favorite receivers of the past 20, 25 years of making plays, circus plays, and just phenomenal plays that you say, how do you make that catch? And he's got his hands, his mitts are so big, he just makes plays. And that's a guy who's a receiver, but he's not necessarily a technician when it comes to route running. When I think of technicians, I think of people like Cooper Kupp. I think of guys like that are even the guy we saw, Jefferson. Jefferson is a technician. You know what I mean? And he rounds his routes a lot and uses his athleticism. So in body stature, they're very similar, right? Both about 6'2", slender, long guys. Who's the elite receiver in that group? And that's not a fair comparison, but am I saying that's the body type comparison is where I'm going off of, right? But Jefferson is obviously elite receiver. So you see that his ability and compare that to what Jefferson does on a regular on Sundays. Is he there? And there's no knock to Travis Hunter because I think he's the best player in college football by sure. And if he's not number one, he's going to be 2, 3, at the very worst 5 pick in the NFL draft, depending on how this thing falls out, right? Because he's just that great an athlete. So my comparison to him and how he plays is 2 people that are phenomenal athletes that had great careers, Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson. Both phenomenal athletes that played both sides of the ball respectively. And the comparison more so is Champ Bailey to everybody because of his numbers. But look what Charles Woodson did as far as Heisman and hype and what he was able to do. He made enough plays receiver-wise to get his nod or Heisman over Peyton Manning. Although Travis Hunter, to me, is better than Charles Woodson was in that regard as far as receiver play. So the next comparison becomes Champ Bailey, and he's better than Champ as far as receiver play. But
maybe a Deion comparison too?
I was just about to go there. To me, was Deion an elite receiver?
No.
He's like Deion. Deion
put the ball in his hands.
He's a great athlete, put the ball in his hands, going to make plays. That's why I think he's going to be an elite corner.
Maybe some kick return ability.
I love that breakdown.
But he's going to be an elite corner that can play receiver and probably do some returning, but he's got Deion also was 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So,
and what's more impressive about him, though, in comparison with all those other incredible Hall of Famers, is that he does it every snap in college.
He plays every snap. The conditioning is phenomenal.
Titans radio coverage produced by Philip Noel and Brad Willis. Studio producer Jackson Williams. Thank you, Jackson. Scoreboard producer Lucas Pansica. Network producer Joseph Bonanno. Promotions director Rich Ferris. Director of sales Hunter Rice. General manager Allison Warren. Sunday Night Football is next. Later.